big country that has billions, and most people when they take it's just trying to see its country prosper. I'm not judging that. At the end of the day, who's getting so that money's waste? I don't know. It's just... Welcome back to the podcast. If you haven't listened to any previous episodes, please go and check them out. There's already another episode in this Phone a Friend series, so please go and check that out. And if you would like to be part of this Phone a Friend series, contact us, email us, DM us. I'd really like to get more people on this podcast and as a part of this series. So today I'm going to be talking to Hope. She's my best friend. She has been in one of the episodes, one where I talked about friendship and lupus, so go and check that out if you haven't already. So yeah, RIP Cadet. It's very unexpected. Like, just the other day, people were making jokes about him, because you know how he always does his car videos and whatever. Yeah. So people were like, yeah, he's gonna jump on this song, and the next day you just see RIP Cadet on Twitter. It's crazy how life just goes like that.
Yeah, so quick as well. Like, no one would have ever expected him to die this year, let alone that way.
It's just sad because it wasn't even like he did anything to anyone. It was just a normal day. He was going to a show. It's just deep.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of conspiracy about it as well, like how it happened and
what people think what, he didn't die or someone did it on purpose.
And basically they're like, oh, the crash happened, but no one released anything about him not going to the concert he was meant to go. So the people that were meant to be at the concert or the event that he had going on, none of them tweeted or anything about him being absent. So people were like, if he was really dead, then those people would have said something about it.
Bruh, I don't know. People love trying to make conspiracies when they don't want someone to be dead, but I don't know about that one.
But it's kind of weird because at the first point hearing it, I was like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense. Mm-hmm. No one released any pictures about the car or the person driving it, but I guess the family might not want that to be shared, to be honest.
Yeah, no one would want that. So I just think people need to stop using people's death to have an argument. Like, people are using his death to have an argument about, because he's Muslim, like Islam and music. Like, even when X died, people talking about, oh, if you support him, you're for abuse because he punched his girlfriend. Like, people, they just love causing commotion. As soon as someone dies, they just find an excuse to just
talk. Music's a very sensitive thing, and even when people are alive, all of the R. Kelly thing, sorry to bring him up, but I mean, it's a good example because he's still alive, and the way people talk about his story, there's a lot of controversy, and then when people die now, it's you can talk about their name because they can't defend themselves, you know.
Yeah, it's deep. Let's move on to something else. So I was watching a thing the other day, and basically they were talking about just employment, basically. British people and foreigners, just seeing whether foreigners work better than British people. So there were skilled jobs, like people working in factories, people working on the farm, and then they were mostly British males, white males, and then they got them to replace the foreigners that usually do the job. And it was just mad seeing how half of them didn't turn up to the first day, to be honest. They were they called in sick, whatever. And one of them was my girlfriend's sick, so I can't come in. I don't know. But yeah, they were basically just basically proving this stereotype. But do you think it's true? Do you think British people are lazy like that?
I don't like to make stereotypes a massive thing, but I do believe in general British culture, it promotes some sort of laziness or something where you don't have to earn your workings, rather that you just have to go out, and there's not even like a work ethic as such. It's just like everything's given to you so easily. Whereas in European countries now, if they have to work in a certain country, like, I don't know, I don't want to be say it's like Romania or something, and you have to work on a farm to do agriculture and like farming, and there's a need for you to work very hard in that job to earn a certain amount of wage. So if you don't work like to a good standard, of course you're not going to get paid. But it's here everything's just like given to you so easily.
Yeah.
So I feel like the need for British people to want to do agriculture and things like that is definitely not there. Like they don't feel that urge like it's important to them.
And I feel like with immigrants, not even people that came here, but people whose parents have come here, grandparents have come here, whatever. I feel like they just see a struggle more than someone whose family have always been here, never really had to like, never had to struggle, but never have the issue of having to move and find a new life kind of thing.
Yeah, like to move itself, just to pick up your stuff from one country and to move, that's a big enough like task to deal with, like mentally and physically. It's quite demanding to leave your old life and make a new one in a country where people probably won't understand you.
Yeah.
Whereas British people always have like a sense of, oh, this is our home, so we can decide what type of things we want to do, and then we can like allocate different people from different countries to do the jobs we don't want to do.
Yeah. Do you think, okay, so you know when people say, oh, okay, immigrants are stealing our jobs, whatever, do you think immigration actually has that much of an impact on how many jobs are taken?
I don't think they're stealing jobs as such. That's the wrong term that they're using there. They're not stealing jobs. They're just doing jobs that we don't want to do. If you ask any young person now who wants to be a farmer in London, all of them are going to say no. Majority are going to say, oh, we want to be, I don't know, a scientist,
lawyer,
lawyer, a doctor, because no one is promoting such vocational jobs. Like, no, when I finish high school, I want to be, I don't know, like a plant specialist or something like that. Those things I'm talking about, like, this sort of like drive for young people to do those things. It's very like scientific or other like educational based for young people. So I feel like immigrants just fill the gap that we don't use, you know?
Yeah, but do you think that is young people's fault though? Because if you're, because we are young people, if you're thinking about pay, living in London is expensive. Of course, you're not gonna aspire to be a farmer.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know.
Yeah, I get what you mean, but it's like if immigrants weren't here, and they, let's not talk about London because, like you said, it's not really a good example. But people outside of London, those areas, if there weren't immigrants doing those jobs, or like any other like primary like sector jobs, then there would have to be people that in every generation fill those gaps. I feel like because there's no need for the government or anyone else to promote those jobs, you know, because we've had people whilst in Brexit, whilst in the European Union, that have filled those jobs for them.
Yeah. I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm being stereotypical, but British people are just confusing. Like, one thing I've realised is that we know what we don't want, but we don't know what we want. So even with this Brexit issue, I don't think there'd ever be a situation like this in another country. Because what we have right now is like, a lot of MPs are saying, I don't want this, I don't want that deal, I don't want no deal. But when you ask them what they want, silence. Yeah, and I don't know why we have this like this behavior, but even when it comes to jobs, we want a job, but we don't want this job, we don't want that job. So then what job, like, what do you want to do?
What do you want to do? Yeah, I get you. And like, it's not, there's no really like option like for you to do something different. So if I was to say now, oh, I don't think education is best for me, and I would have to go and find something like more vocational. It's quite hard because even though they have like apprenticeships and stuff, those apprenticeships, majority of them are still in sectors like business and stuff. So I feel like this country doesn't really they don't really make up their mind. Like even with Brexit and negotiations and stuff, they're like, yeah, we don't want Theresa May to do it, but then who do you want? Like, make up your mind, innit? If you don't want Theresa May, bring someone else. You can't pretend to, oh, we've got candidates and think about who we want. Like, you don't have time to think, you know?
Next month. That's crazy. Next month we're leaving the EU.
After 40 years.
That's crazy. What do you think? Like, what do you think should happen? I don't think there should be a second referendum. It's too late for that. It's too late. They just need to get it done. They just need to leave. But
yeah, they intended to leave, and that's what they have to do. You can't go back on the vote. I don't understand. Yeah.
Do you think that young, like people 16 to 18-year-olds should vote or no?
Oh, I'm very passionate about this topic, but I've got a very unpopular view in that I don't think 16-year-olds to 18-year-olds could vote knowing what sort of, like, I know they understand what decisions they're making and blah, 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 but because teenagers aren't really, the majority of teenagers aren't, like, interested in politics as such. They get quite bored and frustrated that Parliament and the government don't really understand, like, how to put teenagers in discussions about the future. So if Parliament and the government can't do that now, if we allow them to vote, who's saying that they're going to get a say anyways from voting like that? You get me? Because we're not really interacting with them and asking them what they want. Letting them vote is it doesn't really make sense to me because I was interested in it. You get me?
Yeah, but isn't it unfair on the teenagers who are like politically active, who actually know stuff? Like, isn't it unfair on them? And there's a lot of adults who don't know things. Like, a lot of people voting for Brexit, they don't know what Brexit is. So do you think there's an unfairness in that?
Yeah, I guess, but it's just like, I think that just even shows that Parliament and like different parties need to engage people in what they're talking about first before any sort of like referendum or vote. You have to make sure everyone in different communities is engaged, and then if they really like successfully do that, then I think, of course, 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds should vote. But I think that's a step that needs to happen, and maybe after a while of Brexit, then they'll think about that more.
Did you see the Grammys stuff?
Definitely not. I haven't looked properly now.
Okay, so basically, one thing that is a bit like, so Cardi B, she won Best Rap Album, and she's the only female. She's the only female to win that award. And then obviously people are talking about Nicki Minaj, blah blah blah. But I don't know why that happened. Like, Nicki Minaj has done a lot, so I don't understand how she's never won it, and how Cardi B won it this year. I feel like what the music industry does, like, they just see what's trending, obviously. And because Cardi B's been so active, like, she's had the whole Offset drama, she's had the album, she's always been a meme, kind of. Like, if they didn't give her a Grammy, it would look like the Grammys are being boring, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get you, because like Cardi B, she promotes fashion brands like Fashion Nova. She's very up with social media and like different franchises, so she's kind of like out there for not only her music but for like a business sense. Like, she's always promoting something. So I guess like for them to pick Cardi B instead of Nicki Minaj, she's kind of just like a relatively new like artist compared to Nicki Minaj, because Nicki Minaj is around like when we were in primary school. So I feel like, it's sad for her, but in some sense you understand why they picked Cardi, because the music industry is really not fair. They're just doing what they think the majority of people are listening to right now.
Yeah. Do you think that like the music industry makes this whole beef between them worse? I feel like, because even BET, they were basically talking about this, and they were like, oh yeah, Cardi B over Nicki, basically. And then Nicki Minaj pulled out of their like shows. So she said, I'm not doing it, because obviously they disrespected her. I feel like they always try, I don't know what it is, they always like putting females against each other. But I don't think that they do this to like white artists like that.
Yeah, same. Just about to say that it's a lot of like slander in the black community when it comes to females, and there's always a lot of competition. And I feel like it's because women, like black females, being in the music industry so big as they are today. Of course, it was like in like our previous like generations that black women have always been part of the music industry. But I feel like now they're making such like a monumental standpoint of music. So like people of different cultures listen to black like women like Beyonce and stuff like that. So I feel like the beef, creating beef between different artists, it's kind of like just fueling the fire, and then they'll get people excited on BET, I guess.
Yeah, it's mad. A lot of people are saying how, you know, like UK R&B is just a bit weak, because because LMA, like, if you didn't look into it, LMA is from the UK. She's not even from the US anyway. So
yeah, but her up, like she's one of them.
Yeah, it's just crazy how like over there, she basically just had to go to the US and start her career. I don't think she would have blown if she tried to stay within the UK. She wouldn't have. If let's say she only featured with UK artists, she wouldn't be where she is now. But do you think it's because we don't support them, or like what's the problem?
I think there's a lot of like pop music, I guess, or like different forms of music. I'm not sure that in this country, because there's such like a diverse like set of people, especially in London, we listen to different genres and things like that. But if you listen to like Kiss FM and stuff like Capital X and all those stuff, the music you hear of a similar genre. They're not really like, I mean, the British music you hear is all really like pop songs and romance songs. The songs you hear that are R&B are majority American, probably because like British people, I don't know, I don't think they're really inclined to R&B music like that. Such, I think they'd rather listen to like trap or like the songs like, what's his name again? Amelia Monroe. I swear that's her name, isn't it? And
yeah,
the guy like EK, whatever his name is, like all those like young and upcoming artists. Yeah, you can say that they're like from the R&B genre, but there's not like specific like R&B genre in the UK. It's really unclear why, but you know.
Yeah, it is unclear why. I don't know. I think we could support a drill artist like that, but I don't know if we would support an R&B artist like that. Yeah. But anyway, so the last thing we want to talk about is that obesity thing. So I think the World Health Organization or something, people are considering to call obesity like a disease rather than it being a lifestyle choice or whatever. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
There's a lot of extreme views. I don't think anyone's in between, but I feel like to just argue both points, I'll say that first, people think that obesity is a disease because it's something where it's so large nowadays. It's growing so much compared to prior generations because of the food that we eat, the lifestyle we live today, and how work is just so demanding and people don't get to exercise. Even kids from a young age, there's not really much promotion to exercise, go out, eat good, and stuff like that. And sometimes, majority of the times, I would say, in my opinion, obesity is put onto people without them like knowing they're getting obese or wanting to be obese. Kind of just, I was brought up in a household where we'd eat this have this lifestyle and then to remove yourself from that is quite difficult. But some people say, oh, it's not a disease because it's your choice. And society has made it clear that being like slim and healthy is the better option, but really that's not really true because healthy food's expensive. Let's just be real.
It's so hard to be healthy.
Bad food is cheap, so where do we go from there? You get promoting good food for people to eat in this country.
But let's say going back to if you grew up in a household where your parents eat junk food, your brothers eat junk food, so then you end up obese. Is it your fault if you're still obese by the time you're an adult? Because technically it's not like you didn't make that problem happen in the first place. So is it your fault if you don't sort it out later?
I kind of I make similarities between kind of like depression and obesity. So I thought about it like the other day. I was thinking, so if you're brought up in a family where like most of your family are depressed, and you grow up and you try to escape that, but as hard as you can't. And I was thinking that depression is like a disease as well. It's sort of a disorder, a mental disorder, and maybe perhaps like obesity is the same. Like you've been brought up in this culture where like being upset or eating badly is just the norm. So when you grow up, it's hard to escape that as an adult, because then as soon as you reach to like seeing other people live their life, you're like, oh my god, like can I ever do that? It's something to like overcome your fear and stuff like that.
And it's kind of ingrained in you, like you all your life you've been taught this is how you eat, this is how you, even without thinking about it, you're gonna eat like that, you're gonna behave like that. So it's difficult. And also like when I was thinking, like if someone told me, oh, your lupus is a choice, I'd be so frustrated. So I feel like for people who are obese and they're obese because of like depression and like trauma, they must feel that same way when people are saying, you know, this is a lifestyle choice, that you don't have to be this way. So I don't know.
Like, there's some people that even like there was a study done. It was like women who are pregnant and they are obese whilst they're pregnant, their child is most likely going to be overweight or slightly overweight up to 3 years or something like that. Also, while they're like an infant, if the diet doesn't change, that overweight will, like that obesity there at that age will continue into their childhood. And I read that, I was like, wow, that actually seems like quite valid, because if your mother is eating like junk food or doesn't know how to have a healthy lifestyle whilst you're in her womb, it kind of, I understand why
it would affect
your habits will be the same when you get out.
Do you think we do enough about like obesity as a country? Because I know, you know how they used to have that Change for Life stuff all the time. You used to see adverts about it all the time, but I rarely see it now. Like, do you think we do enough to try and tackle obesity?
Honestly, I just think it's very commercialized now. Like, I don't think it's based on health and actually wanting, because I say this because like the new year they put out adverts, like different companies put out adverts. Oh, new year, new me,
lose weight.
Weight. Even Pure Gym do that. It's all for money. It's all to gain people in at a certain time of year. So do that at New Year. You'll never see an advert about losing weight in Christmas because everyone's eating. And the only time you see like Change for Life or walking or marathons is in summertime, because people exercise the most in summertime. So I feel like you can't just, we'll promote good health with like whenever we want, like at certain times of the year, but for the rest of the year, eat how you want. Like, we don't care. It doesn't really make sense to like how you can commercialize people's health so much.
Yeah. Do you think so? With obesity and smoking, they're quite similar in a way that, at the end of the day, you make the decision to eat, you make the decision to smoke, but it can be triggered by like addiction, depression, and trauma. So a lot of people are saying, like, because you've brought this upon yourself, you brought this illness upon yourself, that the NHS shouldn't have to bear that burden of you getting yourself sick. Do you think that's like a valid thing to say? Like, do you think the NHS should be able to be like, you know what, we can't treat you until you stop smoking, kind of thing. Because how are they supposed to help you if you don't help yourself?
You know what, addiction is a very sensitive thing, and I think even doctors find it. I watch a lot of GP, like doctor surgery stuff, and when you watch it, the doctors seem quite, like, inside they feel frustrated because they'll tell someone, oh, you need to cut back on your smoking, or you need to cut back on your food, and the person will go home and live their life for another month or 3 weeks, depending on how severe it is, and they'll come back and the doctor will be like, oh, so have you stopped smoking yet, or have you stopped drinking? And they'll be like, no, like, where do we go from here? I can't force you to stop smoking or eating. Then it comes to the point where when that person gets sick now and they have to go into hospital, they need to have like surgery or something, and you have to spend thousands on their treatment. To deny them of that, it's very difficult because you're saying to the person, like, look, you've made your choices, so I can't help you, you know? And it's kind of like, well, should they really be blamed if no one's like really promoting a better lifestyle, a better like way of living, and they're just stuck in what they're doing? Then really, can you say to them now, oh, after all you've done, we can't help you?
True, but then again, there's so, like, the amount of money that the NHS spends on helping people with like illnesses that are sometimes brought upon themselves is ridiculous, and it's just sad that people take the NHS for granted like that. But I do understand how you can't deny anyone health like treatment, whether or not it's their fault, whether or not they're the one that broke their leg. Like, you can't just deny them treatment like that. But it is a difficult situation.
I think it's about like prevention or getting addiction or things like that, or obesity to stop at the beginning, so that we don't get to the stage where you're splashing out money on treatments or therapy or getting this person to take certain tablets that makes them lose weight or stuff like that. To prevent those stuff, look at the things you can do as soon as someone comes into your clinic or your doctor's surgery and says, oh, we've got this problem, you know, because then when you finish it there, or like you stop it there, you don't have to get to the stage where they're on like the bed and then you have to spend thousands on surgery, you know?
And I feel like the NHS as well need to, in general, they just need to have less medicine-based treatment. Like, sometimes the only treatment someone needs is counselling. Like, they don't always need this drug, that drug, whatever. I feel like they waste a lot of money doing that.
Even counselling, it's so like over. Like, the wait list was so overbooked.
Yeah, that's true. You
have to wait to get onto therapy treatment. It's actually really long. Some people get frustrated, and if the person can't go to therapy, what's the other option? Drugs, and drugs are much cheaper because, like, to say have a session for like an hour every month for like 27 sessions is the one for depression. So if you have 27 sessions for depression, and you spend that much money, I don't know how much they spend on therapists every hour, but it must be expensive. Then compare that to drugs, then it's like
much cheaper,
much cheaper. But I think drugs and therapy should go together, really. Not too much drugs, not too much therapy. Should kind of be a balance for certain disorders, you know.
Do you think, like, because in America, a lot of people say in America it's common for people to be like, yeah, I have a therapist, I meet her or him every week, kind of thing. Do you think we have the same attitude, or people are more closed off about it?
Therapy is kind of like, I don't know, hair is very hard to find, I guess, or hard to like get onto. So I feel like when someone says to you, oh, I've got a therapist, it's like, oh wow, like, how did you get that? Like, someone might want that, but because of the waiting list or their fear of going to someone saying, oh, you need to sign up for therapy, it's kind of like everyone just hesitates when they think about it. It's like an invasion of privacy or something like that. It's rather than it being a treatment in itself.
And I feel like we treat therapy as like a solution for if there's something wrong. Like, you don't have to have something wrong with you to talk to someone.
Therapy,
and I feel like a lot of people get, like, with British people, we just keep things to ourselves until it gets bad. So so therapy. I feel like
someone dies.
yeah, exactly. So I feel like therapy is just not in our way of doing things because we don't talk about things in general. So why would we go to a random stranger and then talk about things? Like,
yeah, it's really not in our nature. Like, we don't feel the need to go and express ourselves to people who we probably won't even meet after like a couple months, you know.
Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you.
It's okay. Bye, guys.
Big country that has billions, and most people when they take it's just trying to see its country. You're taking more than one, judging it. At the end of the day, who's getting so that our money?